Welcome to the Quantum Empath. I'm your host, Kelly Michelle, intuitive guide, alchemist, and reality hacker. This is a space where esoteric knowledge, ancient wisdom, personal development, and quantum physics meet to help you shift your frequency, break old patterns, and step into the life your soul came here to live. Let's expand your awareness, upgrade your energy, and create your dream reality, one episode at a time. Let's begin. I was sitting in meditation this morning and I heard that I thought I was building a business. I didn't realize the business was building me. And I say that because when I started my business, or at least started planning for my business about 14 months ago, I was a completely different person. I was somebody who was only even considering it because my girlfriend suggested we do it. Otherwise, I had looked into it a few years prior. Somebody else was doing it about 50 miles away, and I said to myself, oh, it's too late. I'm just going to keep cleaning. And the thing about my cleaning job is I loved my clients. I loved the work that I was doing, but it was also really exhausting. And for me to ever uplevel my life in any sort of way, I was either going to have to take on employees and grow my business that way, or I was going to need to pick up more houses and grow my business that way. And I felt like I was doing that in 2020. I had hired someone. I was looking at getting a commercial vehicle for the cleaning crew or whatever. And 2020 happened and I had to let my employee go. And she was such a pain in the ass that when I went back to work after people started allowing me to come back into their homes, I was like, I am not doing this. I let some of my clients go because they were not in alignment. You know, those houses that were always a pain in the ass, or they were always disgusting, or things like that. I had to let people go, and I just said, well, I don't have my employee anymore, and therefore I can't clean for you anymore. And I took on a lighter load, and in taking on that lighter load, it allowed me to really provide thorough service. I was so careful in the details. At least I think I was. I mean, I never had complaints. And I used to treat each room as if that you get that feeling when you walk into a hotel room after you've been traveling for hours and you're just like, this looks nice. I cannot wait to lay my head down. And I used to want people to come home after work and just have that, create that feeling for them. And so as a cleaner, I was always really mindful of the energy that I was bringing into a home. I would do my meditation in the morning. I would make sure my chakras were aligned. And I just made sure I was not in a funky state of mind, because I felt like a lot of what people were feeling, not because I was the best cleaner, but because I brought in good energy. I brought good vibes into their space. I loved their children. I loved them. There were a lot of clients who were like friends. And it was hard to say goodbye to that. But during that time of cleaning so many years by myself, I've talked about this before, but I used to listen to podcasts all day. And so I went through a period of time where I was listening to all the alternative news. I was listening to the far right conservative conversations that were being had on things. And I think mostly because I was a veteran, so I considered myself a patriot, and I was really about conserving America and making it a place where land of the free and home of the brave. But after the whole country shut down and I started really asking questions, asking, what are we doing? It just, nothing was making sense to me. I wasn't watching a lot of news on the other side, but I did see reports on CNN and the local news, and I thought it was really strange that there was a death ticker on the screen. I thought, oh my God, if we did that for car accidents or heart attacks, we would all just be freaking out. We wouldn't want to get in our cars. We wouldn't want to exercise. We wouldn't want to do anything to take a chance of maybe having a heart attack. So we would just sit at home and do nothing. And so I remember that being like a really big part of the story. And I was also very restless. I loved going outside and hiking. I started stumbling across heart rocks left and right. I would see them in everything. I would see heart rocks. I would see hearts in the oil stains and in smashed gum on the sidewalk. And I just started getting these messages, and it felt like something, a message. It felt like a message. And so I had been doing some work on myself. I had been listening to affirmations, and I was listening to personal development podcasts, and I was trying to figure out who I was. Because when 2020 and the world shut down, I can tell you that was the first time I had ever really had that much time to myself. I couldn't date. I wasn't hanging out with my friends. I was seeing my kids. I only had them every other week. I wasn't working, so I wasn't seeing my clients. I was on my own. And there's a lot to be said about really getting to know yourself, especially as, I don't know, a 48-year-old adult. I thought I knew who I was, but then I realized I wasn't actually thinking. I wasn't actually thinking for myself. And I remember I used to try and wake my mom up to the lies and the corruption and tell her all these things I was learning, and I tried to get her to read books, and she's like, I just don't get it. I don't know. How do you know these people are not just telling a story? And I'm like, oh, mom, because why would you sign up for the crazy train if this stuff wasn't true? Why would you risk your life to be a whistleblower if this stuff wasn't true? And it just didn't make sense to me. Why would you go 25 years of not ever talking about something to finally talking about something, seeing an alien or a UFO, or maybe having a near-death experience and seeing something on the other side and knowing that just changed your life, but nobody's going to believe you. They're going to think you're a nut job. Why would anybody do that? And I started taking a closer look at my brother's work that he left behind. I had an older brother who at the age of 21 was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he lived in and out of mental hospitals and jails and group homes and independent living, and every day for him was a struggle. He had moments in time where the medication was helpful, and he had moments in time where it wasn't. And it was usually because he wasn't taking his medication. And that's another thing I look back on. When I see his art, when I read the notes that he left me, I actually had opened up a little envelope that he gave me, and inside was a little tiny heart rock. And I was like, dude, are you the one who's been giving me these heart rocks? I had a feeling. And there was a day that I was out hiking, and I had been seeing tons of hearts left and right. And I said, just give me confirmation that it's you. Tell me it's you. I'm just curious. And within a minute or two, I stumbled upon a stump of a tree that had been cut off. And at the base where these two branches had been cut, it was two heart-shaped branches. And I was like, okay, I know it's you. Thank you. I love you too. Thank you. And I guess I just always been oblivious to this stuff until I started working on myself. I started going within. I started understanding that I had intuition. I was always an empath. And I think it was 2021 or 2022. I think 2021. I had my first chakra alignment, and that changed my life. And that was the day that I came up with the fact that I was going to be doing this for the rest of my life, that this was my mission. I needed to work with people in their chakras and do sound healing. And I immediately downloaded the name of my business, Stay Tuned Soul Therapy. I researched tuning forks. I got interested in Eileen McCusick's biofield work. Tuning the Human Biofield is her book. I started doing that with my friends and my family. I started cleaning their aura. That's what I started with. And it was interesting because I would use these tuning forks, and this was all self-taught, but I would use these tuning forks in people's auras, and I would be able to identify different things in their aura. And I would say, well, this is a feminine wound. It happened when you were around 16, and I would feel some dissonance in that. And I would come to find out, oh gosh, when at 16 is when my mom died. There were times where I found really thick, heavy stuff in people's auras, and then they would say, oh yeah, you totally picked up the fact that my brother died and I was at home with him when it happened, and that's the age I was. And I was getting a lot of confirmation. I was working with Grabavoy numbers, and I was working with divine healing codes, and I was using my dowsing skills. And so many times the accuracy of the information that I was finding for people would resonate with them. And one time I was working on my friend, and I said, did you get a tattoo? And she's like, no. And I said, well, the code for healing a tattoo just came up. And she goes, oh my God, I was thinking about getting a tattoo today or tomorrow. And other times where I was dowsing for people that I have never met. And one of them was a friend's sister. And it said, enter into a relationship. And I was like, oh, I don't want to tell her that. What if she's already in a relationship? I didn't know if she was married. I didn't know if she was single. And so when I was going through her report with her, I said that, and she's like, really? Why do you think that came up? And I'm like, I don't know. But relationships are expansive. Maybe that's what's going on. And she had been apparently being pursued by her neighbor for quite some time. And she kept saying, no, I'm not interested. No, I'm not. And then shortly after this reading, she ended up getting involved in a relationship with him. And he was helping her around her house and helping her with the kids. And they had been friends for quite some time, but they took it to another level. I don't know how that's going. She's in another state and she hasn't reached out, but it's interesting. I have found some entities in people's fields. I have found cancers in their fields. I have found really just validation. This work that I was doing was helping people. I was clearing trapped emotions from people. I started getting into the emotion code, and I'm also self-taught on that. And so I would help people find their trapped emotions. We would clear them, and I'll be damned if these people are not creating these amazing lives for themselves after working with me. And so the thing is, it's like, it's weird to go around and brag about your magic, your powers, the things that you know are from the beyond, from source. They're gifts that have been encoded in me for hundreds, if not thousands of lifetimes. And everything that I get from my guides is that I am an ancient soul. I am here to be a generational curse breaker, and that I'm also very cosmic. Every time I would check my cosmic roots, they would tell me I'm Syrian, one Egyptian cosmic roots. I was a code keeper in Egypt during a lifetime. I've done several past life regressions. I do believe I was a gypsy that traveled with the circus. I was an art teacher. I was a farmer. I was a used car salesman. I was a Native American woman. I've seen myself as a mermaid. I've seen myself as a warrior. I've done a lot of journey work. And if you've never heard of journey work, it's intense, but it's similar to breath work. And if you've ever done guided breath work, I don't know if they're all like this, but my experience was it goes through these different genres of music. It's like having your life set to cinematography and what do they call that? A soundtrack for a movie. And when you get really into this theta state, you may start to see visions of yourself in this other environment based on the music, whether it feels Celtic or whether it feels cosmic, or maybe there's a lot of drumming and it feels very native, or it's just some things you'll resonate with and other things you'll be like, I just hear music. You might not see any pictures, and that might be because you didn't have an experience in that genre, in that lifetime. And so it's really interesting. I knew that the work that I was doing was changing lives, and that was before I had purchased my harmonic egg. I was working. I had by then manifested this home that I live in now. I had moved after my divorce into this little dark 1970s or 80s condo with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's very dark, and mostly because the trees were so mature that no sunlight could get in. And so then when we moved to a new apartment, it was on the 3rd floor. No, it was on the 2nd floor. So I was sandwiched. I had people on top and below. And it was brand new to me. And it was a low income apartment that it had high ceilings and it had awesome cabinetry. I mean, cheap, but deep and big. And it had laminate flooring. It had all new carpeting, big windows, a balcony. I did love it there for quite some time, but as the complex grew and more people moved in, it got really disgusting. So I stayed there about 3 years, and in my mind's eye, I would just go hike and I would just say to myself, I would love a shitty little house on a big piece of land. Just let me have a house, Lord. And so I don't know why I said Lord, because I don't usually say Lord, but I was praying to whoever will listen. And I ended up one day in January of, I want to say 2023, I ran into a former coworker that I had worked with in the casino days when I was a cocktail server. And at the time, she was actually wearing a mask. And I was like, what? And she said hi to me. And I'm like, who are you? And she took her mask down. And I was like, oh, holy cow. And so we had a quick conversation. I said, oh, I'm cleaning. And she said, I have a rental I could use some assistance with. And so I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's go look. And I'll be damned if this place is not right next door to my son's best friend. And it's on 2.5 acres. And it has this little room with a private entrance that you can walk through this breezeway and go down a couple stairs, and then you're in this other room. And it's kind of built into the ground. So the windows are low and strange, but it worked really well as my reception area and my sound healing studio. And I set that little place up as best as I could on my best little budget. And I practiced my sound healing there for 3 years. I had my website, I had sound bowls, and I was doing biofield tuning and emotion code and intuitive assessments, doing the grab a voice stuff. And I loved what I was doing. I was doing it part-time and cleaning. And I was calling myself a law of attraction coach, but I was still scrubbing toilets. And at some point, there's this calling that came. And my girlfriend had said, let's open the egg. And I was all about it. This was in January of 2025. And in March of 2025, she decided she was going to go another direction. And I had a choice. I could just let it fall away and look at it like, okay, it wasn't the time. Or the other option was to move forward. And this is honestly where I feel like I up-leveled on my game, because I was doing something really scary, financially scary, logistically scary, and I'm doing this on my own. There's no husband out working a corporate job, taking care of the bills. It's me. And I'm a housekeeper, and I'm making not a lot of money. People don't even understand how I survive as well as I do. But, that's my abundance. Somehow I'm always taken care of. And so I rewrote my business plan, and I looked at my IRA that I had started in my 20s, and I had enough money in there to make a down payment for my egg. And I was like, okay. I'm tuning into my higher self. I'm very, very tuned into my higher self by now. And I know that I've been life scripting for years. I know the vision I have for my life. And so I'm writing it all into my business plan, the location, and my higher self is saying, yes, this is the one. So I start looking for properties, and this is another interesting point of my story, because at one point I worked for a commercial real estate company as the marketing. And so I called them up and I said, hey, I'm looking for a commercial space. And they assigned me their junior broker, who is just awesome, taking me around to all these little spaces. And I'm seeing things that could work. They could work. But I was like, I'm not that crazy about it. So on the day of the tour that we had set up, I said, let me just hop on to LoopNet and just see if there's anything else maybe. And sure as shit, the location that I'm in was listed, and it had barely been up a day or two. I mean, it didn't even have all the details. So I reached out to my broker and I said, can we go look at this one? And he's like, yeah, I don't know if that one will work. And then he said, oh, wait, I haven't seen that one. Yeah, let's go check it out. He gets the details. We go and look at it. And I tell you, this place looks perfect. It's exactly in the area that I wanted to be. It has big, beautiful windows and lighting. It has a little room that I can use for my private sound healing sessions. It's got this other big room that I put my egg in. It has a private bathroom. And then there's this office area that I use for my reception area. So I'm like, this is it. And the price, oh my gosh, the price was good too. And so I said, this is the one. This is the one we need. This is the place my egg needs to be. And we put in an offer and it gets accepted. And I've been doing it for 7 months now. I'm in the red, you guys. I'm not a business coach, okay? I'm a coach that helps you take your life to the next level so you can do scary things. Because the thing is, this is how my business has changed me. For one, I am not playing with monopoly money from the bank. I don't have investors. I am paying for this with my own money. And I feel like there's something about that is going to be the driving force of, I cannot let this business fail, because I cannot just write off everything that I have just spent on this business. It's a lot, you guys. It's out of this comfort zone that I ever thought possible. From a housekeeper that was making about $2,500 a month, plus a few $100s of child support, I have somehow managed to support myself these last 7 months on a wing and a prayer and what I have in my savings. And I'm not going to lie when I say, okay, that's great. The money in my savings is there, but then I'm not putting anything into it right now. I'm just taking. which is really scary. But also my nervous system is so regulated that I keep telling myself, it's going to be okay. They are coming. People will be coming, because the conspiracy theory me knew ahead of time that there would be a huge wave of people who were going to be waking up and seeing through the system, seeing the lies, seeing the deceit, seeing how they've been sold a crock of lies, from politics to the school system to the medical system to religion to business. You guys, this is stuff they don't teach in school because they need employees to run these businesses. They need your labor to make money. And I think the way of the world for those of us who are breaking out of the matrix, for those of us who are realizing that we've been lied to, we are really magical, capable human beings who are here to be creators. We are here to be in joy and pleasure and compassion and work with other people in our community. I know I am not everybody's cup of tea. And there are a lot of different types of spiritual people depending on where their heart lies. And I would say there's absolutely no wrong way to be you. Some people are really into the women's circles and drumming and womb, and that's lovely for those women. I tend to lean more toward quantum physics and ancient technologies and cosmic technologies and scalar waves and hidden information, esoteric wisdom that the secret societies kept from us. And there was also the new thought movement of philosophers that were writing in the 1800s and 1920s. One of my most influential authors was Florence Scovel Shinn, and she was writing books in 1925. Life is a game, learn how to play it. Changed the way that I do life. You can listen to it on YouTube. You can read it. But Florence Scovel Shinn never said, you gotta have systems. You gotta have followers on TikTok. You gotta have a podcast. You've got to collect email addresses. She wasn't saying that, ever. She was saying, have faith. Surrender. Trust that you are provided for. If you're down to your last $5, don't hoard that money to yourself. Go put that money into circulation and trust that it's coming back to you. Neville Goddard was also a teacher who was teaching in the 1950s, and he was saying thoughts become things. Thoughts become things. Have the vision. Imagine it as if you already had it. And let that nature aspect or that quantum physics aspect of momentum turn into the thing. A vortex of sorts. And so I feel like there are people out there who are familiar with this information. And maybe you've thought about doing it, but there's fear. Because we all have it. And then have a mentor that tells you, oh yeah, that's the deep one. That's the one that's going to stretch you. It's the scariest thing you ever will do. But until you do it, you cannot embody that knowledge. And without embodying the knowledge, you don't evolve. You have to actually go through the thing. And then you come out on the other side and you're like, oh, damn, that was not so bad. But there's a catch, because you can go through that thing and you can start the thing. And then you might get a swift kick in the butt like I did. And they said, you're not done yet. You think that just by building this business that now you sit and wait. And they said, that's not how it works, dear. Now it is time to share your voice. And I was like, what? I got to share my voice? And they said, yes, you do. Because the thing about this collective, the people who listen to my podcast, the people who follow me because the way that I explain things makes sense, those are the types of people that I am meant to be working with, because we are the same collective. And we might hear other people's content and it just sounds like and then you hear it from me and maybe you're like, ding, ding, that's amazing. Yes, that clicks. Oh gosh, that makes sense for me now. And I'm not saying everything I say is going to do that for you. But if it does, it's because we speak the same language. We're on similar frequencies. We play similar stations on the radio. And so I had to expand my container. I had to start sharing my voice. I started my podcast. I started a TikTok channel. I started a YouTube channel. I've had an Instagram channel for quite some time. That is where you will see my evolution. If you choose to look at that, stay tuned, Soul Therapy on Instagram. And if you go way back to the beginning, you'll see me with the filters and my voice like this, talking in my fake voice, my sweet voice. It's actually really cringe, but I'm really glad that it's documented, because if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to look back and see how far I've come. I feel more natural on camera now. I feel like when I turn the camera on that I'm just talking to a friend. When I hit the record button, I feel like I'm talking to you. And one of the deals that my guides made with me when I started this is they said, we will tell you what to share. We will help you. And so I always get permission. Well, I don't always. And sometimes I post stuff without their permission and they will make it glitch, or the words won't match up with the mouth, or things will flicker. Something will happen and I'll say, oh, I'm not supposed to post that. And they'll say, yeah, not right now. Not right now, Kelly. So we'll see. I didn't ask permission for this, but the download came in pretty clear. And so I am going to wrap this up here. I hope this part of my story will give you some idea on my backstory. There are other episodes that I talk about my earlier days, and those aren't things that I tend to talk about over and over because I don't live there. And I know the 3D world wants me to say, oh, turn your pain into purpose and look at me now. And there is a part of me in that, yeah, I fucking did that. And if you try to tell me I can't do something at this point, I'm going to laugh because I know I can. I believe in myself now, and I didn't always do that, you guys. This is embodied wisdom. This is taking all of the knowledge that I have learned for the past 9 years or more. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's encompassed my entire life book to get to this point now. But now that I see it solidified into form, I know this is what I'm here for. I know I'm here to help people work through their blocks. I am helping people right now who are in their dark night of the soul and helping them understand that phase of the process. I'm also finding that there are people who are like, holy shit, look at her. I remember when she was just starting out on this path and she is doing it. Hot damn. Hey, what was your secret? How did you do that? I want some of that. A lot of inner work, you guys. It's all within you. And I help people unlock those parts. Let's clear out those trapped emotions. Let's clear out the stagnant energy that is not serving your body. You are a carbon body who is trying to get to a crystalline body, and we are bubbling out all this stuff right now. And Source has told me I'm a clear channel, heart-mind coherence, Merkaba light body on, Sophia code on, limiting beliefs off. I feel like, yeah, this is why I'm here. I did actually spend, and this is my last point, I did spend some time working on building a container. I made a beta container to try and do some group work because my one-on-one coaching sessions, I've raised the prices on those because they truly are life-changing and transformational. But I also know that it is something that is part of my mission to make this work accessible to my collective that maybe needs a little assistance. And I'm not in my wounded healer phase, you guys. I'm done with that, and I don't give anything away. Yes, I do have professional courtesy sessions that I do like to share with people so that if they want to try it out, they can maybe help their clients. But there's so many people I've offered those to and they don't take me up on it that I feel kind of done. It's like if they want to, they will. And if they don't, they won't. And I'm not really interested in chasing it down because I know that the people that are meant to work with me will. So I opened a group container. It's called Step Into Your Magic. And I am starting a 6-week group container April 1st. And it's going to be a community where you can go in and read articles. I've been posting stuff to it, just little stories and anecdotes and videos. And it'll be a place where you can come and connect with me and ask questions, and we can look at energetic blocks that you're dealing with. I do some quantum healing work in the container and just help you clear out that residual stuff the financial blocks, the fear of being seen. Maybe it's your throat chakra that needs some extra work. And I actually want to keep these containers fairly small. And so I'm limiting it to 10 people for this first round. And I'll link it below. I'm really trying to figure out a community space for you guys, because I come from the side of the tracks that didn't have a lot of money. I come from a lot of lack. And I had people along my path who offered their services at prices that were maybe a little bit out of my reach, but at some point you also have to know that if you can't be trusted spending the little amounts, you're never going to be trusted with the big amounts. And so I encourage people to work on circulating their currency. It's current. And when we're hanging on to it real tight, it doesn't want to flow in. And so when I am feeling like I am in lack, I actually will go and spend some money. And it's not a lot, but I'll go treat myself to something to show myself that, yes, you are worth it. You are worth having your nails done, or you're worth that $5 coffee today. So I'm wrapping it up. I hope to see you in the group. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the login page right. So if for some reason you're interested, go to my contact page, email me. I can actually put you in with your email. I need a full name and birth date also. And then I like to talk about intentions and what do you want to work on? What do you need assistance with? Because you guys, this is the work. This is what I came here to do. And I'm not going to chase it down, but I'm also letting you know I'm here for you. I am here for you. And it is what it is. And if you want to, you will, right? So you can reach me at staytunedsoultherapy.com. You can reach out to my email at staytunedsoultherapy@gmail.com. That is my business website. I'm the Quantum Empath on TikTok, and I'm the Quantum Empath 33 on YouTube. And I'm the Quantum Empath here on the podcast. And Stay Tuned Soul Therapy on Instagram. And yeah, let's connect. I want to know who my audience is. I love you guys. Take care.